we are back. We are live with a very special Winners Bracket Final Edition of the Watchpoint Postshow, coming at you live from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles, California. Another fantastic day of the playoffs presented by Xfinity is in the books. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. Confetti still falling with my friends in the back, but here on the desk, we've got Zoe, we've got Bren, we've got Sideshow, and we got the 7-game series we were all hoping for.
Yeah, this was literally everything we wanted out of this match. And finally, it was that game we set up for New York. You know, like this time it was not a letdown, quite the opposite. Could have gone either way, honestly, up until the very end. Very close series.
It was so good. And fellas, we have a ton to talk about. So let's start the highlights right now because it all started way back on Lijiang Tower. Woo! Coming into this one, we knew that the Doomfists were going to be keys to watch, and they proved to be definitely some of the most impactful players throughout the day. But what were you looking at early on as these games were developing?
This series, sorry for interrupting. Zoe,
don't worry.
But the series, it played out exactly how I thought it might, honestly. The control maps went the way of the Titans with their superior mechanical skill, with Haxel really following up on a lot of the pulls coming out of Tizzy. And when we got to the more strategic maps where it started to get a little bit more intelligent with a lot of the compositions, that was where we started to see New York dominate. But we really saw a showcase of the best strengths of both of these teams over the course of the entirety of the season. We were treated to some very quality Overwatch today.
An absolutely legendary series. It will definitely go down in the annals of time as one of the greatest clashes. I just hope that the low bracket games in the grand finals that we've got coming up can live up to this one because it was nuts.
I just love that literally every single player had one of those big moments.
Yeah.
There was one big clutch play coming out from each and every single individual here, which was fantastic to see. However, it was of course the match of the DPS. It was all about that clutch factor, and I think all 4 DPS on all the maps really delivered. Haxel in specific. Very, very impressive stuff.
I was super impressed with the NYXL. They came into Anubis, were able to take the series lead with a victory here. They showed a lot of looks, and they definitely seemed like they were game planning and trying to get a read on what the defense was going to do, and then adjusting their offense accordingly.
This was so smart from the New York Excelsior. This is something that I spotted. They came out with this Bastion composition, they rolled with it, and then when it went to the double overtime, which we might see later into this B-roll, Vancouver Titans had no choice but to adjust their composition to try and anticipate it. So they ran Haxel on the May that you're seeing here. And New York, if you look at the top left of your screen right now, you're seeing them running a standard composition. Way better at winning a lot of these neutral fights. New York did this bait and switch twice on Anubis and later on in Numbani as well. Both times it won them that map in particular. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the difference in sort of the strategy and the mechanical skill between the teams. Vancouver Titans won the maps they were intending to win when it comes to the ones where Haxel could really pop off, and the New York Excelsior won the ones where they could really start to flex their brains, if you will.
What was going on with the escort maps, though? Because if you looked at Gibraltar and then, of course, that Game 7 we just witnessed, it was all Vancouver.
It's all about the capture points for me. Assault and Hybrid, we did not see the Vancouver Titans win because NYXL are able to set up their defenses with the Bastion, set up really interesting creative offenses where you can do these set plays. With the set plays, the NYXL have the advantage, but on brawlier map types like Escort, where it's all about positioning around the payload and taking recurring fights, and like Control, where it's all about your positioning around the point and taking brawling fights, the Vancouver Titans win that every time. So we now have a grand finalist in the Vancouver Titans with a very set style. They are excellent, unbeaten in the post series on control maps, but also really, really good on Escort. However, it's super clear that they struggle a little bit on those like Numbani, Eikeval, Kings Row, the hybrid maps, as well as Assault, and a lot of that is down to the Bastion, and New York showed why.
But I do think that they try to adapt. We did see the very tail end here on Dorado. We did see New York coming out with the Bastion again. And Vancouver Titans switched up their game plan. That they go in very, very aggressive. Basically held the defense in front of the spawn, trying to get ZBLB off of that payload. Granted, he got back onto it and it didn't quite work, but that did show at the very end of the series that they did adapt to that style and they tried to not let it become a weakness to them.
It could have gone so wrong, you're totally right, because after New York managed to get back on Numbani, they go to Dorado, and that's a map where you can run a lot of the Bastion stuff. So in some sense, you could have had the same situation happen again. But I totally agree with what you're saying here. So they managed to make the adjustment right when it was required in map 7. But when they're looking forward to the grand finals, you have to have that level of composure again. Otherwise, this could have gone the other way.
Yeah, you could feel the shakiness of both of these teams actually as it came to this final map. So much decided on this one individual map here, where you think that the Vancouver Titans, it was so brawly. If the previous matches were quite explosive in the way they were played, this one was a slow siege when it got to Dorado. Both teams just edging for control over the series as it came out. Vancouver Titans end up coming out on the top of it with a 3-1 scoreline. Really well played from them. I mean, this is a series that I wouldn't be complaining if we saw a rematch in the grand final.
It's awesome to see how close these teams are. I mean, just look at the Reapers. 82 final blows for Sabiolbi, 82 on the other side for Soman Su. But the difference came down to the Doomfist today. And as you take a look at the numbers, just a few less deaths for Hacksaw. The final blows, he's got 12 more. Definitely 2 rock stars in this series, and I think both teams have to be very proud of the way they played today.
Absolutely, and Libero really pulled his weight at the very end there. Even though they lost the map, he did put out the most damage out of everyone on that server. He did nearly 30% of his entire team's damage all by himself. So he definitely pulled his own weight and then some.
Yeah, and so many clutches early on in the series as well. Kings Row dominated by Libero. But over the course of the series, and because you have those control maps repeating twice and the escort repeating twice, Haxal is just so good on those maps. The guy finds openings and helps his tank line in a way that no other Doomfist does.
We have to talk about Hacksaw because he, of course, earned our Player of the Match honors. But a bigger question here is now he is guaranteed a spot in the grand finals. And we know there will be a finals MVP. Is Hacksaw the top dog right now in the race? Is he the one leading the charge for finals MVP or playoff MVP at this point?
It's looking like it right now, because when you look at Doomfist players, you can look at the individual mechanical skill of the players, where they're clutching, they're pulling out a lot of these plays, and you look at the Doomfist players that really work well with their team environment and following up on a lot of the halts, the accretions that happens. Haxel does it both, and he does it both amazingly well, such that it feels like he doesn't have a weakness as a player on an individual basis. He's almost like, if you look at Prophet from last year, very similar sort of cadence in terms of the way he's playing right now, and Haxel's mirroring that in a lot of ways.
So we've had such incredible finals, playoffs, and of course, the playoffs brought to you by Xfinity here for the Overwatch League in 2019 specifically. We got to talk about some of the big matches and how we got to where we're at today. Let's start with the winners bracket. Did this play out the way you thought it would? What were some of the big shocking moments for you?
No, I mean, if these playoffs were anything, they were bracket breakers. Even though we will maybe end up with the teams we thought we may end up with, everything went askew really for us. I mean, the first one and the biggest one here has to be the shock falling to the Rain. I think that was the biggest surprise to everyone, but to maybe the Rain themselves. I think also Spark. A lot of people picked Spark over the Gladiators. And of course, Spitfire, who initially looked very good and then dropped down to the losers bracket.
And the two teams, sorry, Brad, the two teams that you would have expected to win in that first round, the Spark and the Shock, that at least most people expected them to win, actually just took a while to heat up.
Yeah.
And now they're looking really dangerous at the bottom.
Here's the crazy thing, and you're looking at this lower bracket right now. Regardless of what happens now in the losers finals, we either get a rematch of that amazing match we just saw, or we see a team go from the very beginning of the losers bracket all the way to the grand finals. This is almost unheard of. So in all of the sports and all of the gaming tournaments I've seen where they run this similar bracket, this hardly ever happens because it's such an uphill battle the entire time.
So the question I have for you guys now is, of those 3 remaining teams, the Shock, the Spark, and of course the NYXL, who are waiting for the winner of that match, who do you want to see lock up that last spot with 3 teams fighting for it?
I want to see the San Francisco Shock, personally. I mean, that was our Stage 1 finals. It was our Stage 2 finals. It's been the dominant rivalry of 2019. And I feel like with the Shock as the team which most people would have come into this tournament saying that they were the favorites, the best team of 2019, there can be no better rivalry for Shock Titans in the final.
I also love the story here. And with that, I want to go back to like all the way to our inaugural season. They didn't look too good. They had a lot of pieces they couldn't use. They had to wait for a lot of players until they were of age to actually play on the stage. And I think that will give a lot of other teams hope to see like, hey, look, that team, they built for the next season. And I think a lot of teams had to do that this season. They had to build for the 2020 season. So I think it's going to be quite nice for them to see that can actually work out so well.
Are you going to make it 3 for 3? Are you going Shock as well?
Big time. I mean, how can you not want Shock to do this, right? It's the one consistent rivalry we've seen this entire year, is Shock and Titans moving it. Imagine if the Shock made a low bracket run all the way from the bottom to the finals, right? I mean, any finals we get now is going to be amazing, but the Shock really just proves that the Overwatch League is an anime.
I gotta say, I am all about the live audience. We sold out the Barclays Center. We're heading to the Wells Fargo Center, which is only an hour and a half away from New York City. I'm going with NYXL. They gave us a Game 7 tonight. I think in the rematch, we would go to a Game 7 again. Yep. I think it's the best possible matchup. But we'll argue it more on the other side of the break, including some of the top moments of the week. You don't want to miss it, guys. More Watchpoint Post-Show coming up. Support your team with the official Overwatch League Coca-Cola bottles at CokeStore.com. Ships to all 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. P.O. boxes. And we're back live with the Watchpoint Post Show coming at you from the Winners Bracket Finals. And every day during the playoffs presented by Xfinity, we will show our winning team's moments and share the winning moment with our fans. We asked the fans submit, what were your favorite moments of the day? We had Black Barbie in here. Congrats to the Titans for winning. You guys played great out there. Toxic was chiming in as well.
Yeah, Haxel was an absolute beast today. Absolute freak.
Dawson, Gilreath. Vancouver wants San Francisco and Philly. I mean, I'm down for it. I don't know if they're colluding. That might be illegal. But
I don't think Danny asked the Vancouver Titans which team they would want to face, right? That would be interesting, actually.
Those were your Coca-Cola victory moments. And remember, use the hashtag #ShareTheGlory to be featured tomorrow, because we got the Shock and the Spark. That will be an epic showdown for a spot in the Loser Bracket Finals. But right now, it's time to talk about the games we saw today in our most over-the-top moments. Here we go at number 5. So you ready for this one? It's the NYXL's full push on Numbani in overtime.
Yeah, that was absolutely bonkers. I mean, the fact that we saw this happen on this map, like, what, twice now? That we went into 2 OTs, and I mean, they clutched it at the very end. They should have been stopped way earlier than that.
And this was what Bren was talking about. They trick the Vancouver Titans into running the Mei, win the first push, and then use their ult.
Alt economy, a big deal in Overwatch at number 4. Libero cancels the sound barrier. Slime, one of the best supports in the game. So frustrated by that smack.
That was accidental.
No, this is on purpose, bro. Totally wasn't going for the Reaper.
Yep, totally wasn't going for the Reaper.
Two should have tanked it.
He shadow stepped.
Libero had so many of those moments as well, though.
Yeah, he did.
All right, at number 3, TZ has been in for the playoffs instead of Bumper, and he has had some incredible halts, constantly setting up his DPS. This time it's Haxel with the 3K to open up the series.
Yeah, but throughout the entirety of the series, I think a lot of the time when we saw Haxel doing a thing in the kill feed, it was really Tizzy setting it up for him.
Yep.
So Min Su uses Death Blossom there as well. That's a really elaborate play.
At number 2, SBB has been back in the playoffs after missing stage 1, 2, and 3. He goes airborne for this one, taking everybody out.
You never expect the Reaper from the sky. That's something Malik taught me.
I love it as well. It's a Bongo Blossom. The supercharger goes down, Blossom from the sky, paired with the Flux. So many ult combos.
The BB combo, baby. Love to see it. At number 1, it, of course, is the final moments of Dorado when the Vancouver realized we are going to Philadelphia. We are playing for the 2019 championship title.
Sick moment. I mean, it's been showcased, but there's so much history between these two teams as well. In their previous outings, I mean, these teams have gone to map 7 multiple times. Even just before the Overwatch League was really a thing. And I gotta say, I mean, what a fantastic match once again. This really just nails it. I don't think anyone would be complaining if we saw a rematch of it.
Here's a look at our Twitch cheer boards. We always got to check in at the end of the day. Atlanta Reign still at number 1 spot. Spark still in our tournament and still in your top 2. And the NYXL up over 4 million bits after today's performance. They're going to look to rebound in that loser's bracket and head to Philly themselves. Looking at the individuals, it's Kbu still at number 1. Puckhead closing in on 10,000 bits. And Eligord joins our leaderboard at the number 10 spot today.
I like Mad Queen Dog.
Mad Queen Dog.
I like it.
Dog.
I'm still a
You're
fan of
hipster?
Miss Lady.
Is
Miss
it dude
Lady?
GG or is it dog?
All right, we're moving on. Friends, speaking of Twitch, make sure to use your All Access Pass thanks to our friends at Coca-Cola so you can watch the one and only, the Black Parade superfan Monte Cristo is coming up next here answering all of your favorite questions. Thanks for watching the show today. Enjoy the games. Remember, it's Spark versus Shock for a spot in that Losers Bracket Finals. Malik will be kicking off the pre-show at 11:30 a.m.
Loser goes home.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.